With respect, Mr. Secretary, to quote a public official in my state, it takes you an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes, and you try to filibuster us and use up our time. What is a safe third country policy?
Senator, a safe third country policy is a policy that provides as follows, that when an individual is fleeing their country of origin by reason of fear of persecution, and they traverse another country that can provide them safety from that fear, then they may not qualify for humanitarian relief in their ultimate country of destination because they have.
Let me stop you because you're watching 60 Minutes again.
This administration has kind of had different positions, and I want to clarify it. Do you believe that a border wall is part of the answer? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, so I have a trouble reconciling that with the rule that you signed and issued on October 5th, where you said construction of physical barriers on the border of the United States would, in fact, prevent unlawful entries.
Senator, so if I may explain, the Congress mandated that we employ.
But you didn't actually have to issue a rule. We could have done that. And one more thing, this administration and your department, the Department of Homeland Security, issued a contract for $500,000 in September of 2001 for the purchase and installation of a wall around this president's beach house. So you'll do know walls work. You do know they're part of the solution. You do know they're part of creating security. But for whatever reason, you feel like the American people are beneath that. And I think that it is incredibly frustrating.
So I will follow up with you and get back to you immediately because the communication is key with communities impacted by the influx of individuals at the border.
Okay, we'll follow up because we need a meeting every week.
In essence, it would allow you to defund ICE to some extent, maybe to its entirety, and place those funds to other purposes. I looked for this same request in your October budget proposal, and I didn't find it. So, Mr. Secretary, are you still requesting this?
Senator, I have never proposed the defunding of ICE. I would vigorously.
Mr. Secretary, that's the exact. Please read this language that I handed to you here.
Senator, I would vigorously oppose the defunding of ICE, and please recall that I served for 12 years as a federal prosecutor, and I believe devoutly in the law enforcement mission of that agency.
I'm not asking you about your resume, Mr. Secretary. I'm asking you about the language that's plainly here in the page. This language asks for the authority, that we grant you the authority, DHS the authority to reprogram the funds that are intended for law enforcement at ICE, the authority to reprogram to the variety of things like non-governmental organizations, which are clearly not law enforcement. I mean, are you denying this would allow you the ability to reprogram even $1?
Oh, let me be clear, Senator, because it's I would want to read this carefully and in the context.
Well, I would hope you would have read it because you're talking about an $8 billion budget here, and you're here to defend this budget right now.
Senator.
And I have a really easy question, and it will take less than 5 seconds for you to answer this. Given the large amount of disaster supplemental funding that has been requested for DHS, is it fair to call the situation at the border a disaster? And this is yes or no that should take just 1 or 2 seconds.
No, the disaster is the fact that we have a broken immigration system that we can't seem to fix.
So the situation at the border, you're saying, is not a disaster?
That is correct.